Da, da, da. Greetings, greetings, greetings. We are back with another Level Up Live, and as you can see, if you've been following the show, I am talking to you on the Canon. So this is a fairly new experience. Last night was the first night I felt like I actually got this camera working as it should. I'm staring down the lens at it. This is all part of my leveling up. We've been doing this for a few weeks now, and it's taken me a wee while. So I'm just going to glance over here, and you'll understand. So I'm glancing over here because this is where my MacBook Pro is, and a bit later I will switch to, in fact I'll do that right now. I can show you, so I can just use the keyboards. And there we are. We are with the MacBook Pro. So back to the camera. How cool is that? Now, I don't have great internet connection where we are, so I am betwixt and between of knowing just how better quality this is. So anyway, I digress. Welcome to the show. It is Tech Tuesday. We're going to start see if we can put some themes in place. I'm open to suggestions. I'm thinking I could have a little bit of fun with how we do Tech Tuesday, but primarily I'd like to talk about or show you behind the scenes of anything that you want to be shown behind the scenes that we use. So you can find a list of the tools that we use over at, let me put this up on the screen. So yeah, there's a list there. Now that if you go to that page, it is currently undergoing an overhaul, and it's going to be updated, I would say, within the next 5 to 7 days. It's an important page, and I'm putting a lot of effort into making sure that it's a good page to be on. So, but if you want to take a look there now, you'll see a list of some of the tools we're using. And if there's any tools on there that you use or you'd like to dive deeper on, just let me know in the comments or hit me up through any of the social media platforms, and we'll start tackling that sort of stuff on Tech Tuesday. So I'm going to play around with a few other things like what to do on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. Now, I actually am revisiting something I've done before, and maybe this is a good time to bring them back. So I had Mashup Monday, and Mashup Monday was sort of all around online marketing tools, and that could be anything from search engine optimization, keyword research, email marketing, email automation. I did originally hashtag it online marketing, but it didn't go down well with Facebook, and I felt like they were being temperamental about that being a hashtag, and it could come across as spammy, and it wasn't meant to be. There was just things behind the scenes we were showing people, and it was meant to be educational. So I migrated it to Mashup Monday and started to feed in some of those things. And I wasn't able to keep all of that going. I was doing that while we were in Vietnam, and after a little while I couldn't quite get it all dovetailed. But I'm feeling we've moved on a lot since then, and you know, my leveling up and using this broadcast software is making me feel a lot more confident that we could start sharing behind the scenes how-tos, because I'm getting more and more confident with what we can do with the software. So anyway, so yeah, head on over there. So remember, if you are new to the show, a few things. First of all, where in the world are you? We would love to know. Leave your name in the comments. Tell us where you are being locked down. What does lockdown look like? I know all around Europe and around the world, each country is kind of getting different news. We are house sitting in rural France, so even if we weren't locked down, we're quite isolated. So, and I can tell you a bit more about that later on. So, yeah. So remember, and of course, yeah, let us know. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and a thumbs up, or a thumbs down even. But give us some feedback. I'm leveling up. This is new software. I've had it for a wee while, but it's a subscription-based thing, and it's one of those classic things. Your subscription's going out each month. I used it when I first got it on a sort of launch project, and then I haven't been able to get back to it. Could never quite get this camera set up working. Anyway, months have gone by, life's changed, blah blah blah. Anyway, come back to it, and this is my leveling up. I'm going to get better at this software, using the tech, and try and make the show a bit more interesting for you. So the reason I'm kind of smiling and I'm bouncing backwards and forwards, this is the first time from the beginning of the show I've had the camera staring at me, and I'm trying to discipline myself to look at this camera and less over at the computer. But of course, what I could do, I've got my little Anchor keyboard, and love this little Anchor keyboard. Fits into my day pack, which I'm not using at the moment, but prior to us being locked down and sort of working in co-working spaces and commuting, my office is pretty much in a bag, and it took me quite a while to find this bag. If you want to find out a bit more about it and why I use this bag, if you head over to that website that I gave you, Digital Nomad Tools, there is a section on there about my day kit, and you can find out what's in the bag, what I can put in the bag, things like my little metal stand. Just bought this in I think it was in a Chiang Mai marketplace, but surprisingly well made, really solid, very light. I thought the hinges would loosen, but I've had it nearly 2 years, and the hinges haven't loosened at all. So it's a really good little mobile phone holder. So I sit that on front of me on the desk next to my computer. Screen is off, but it means I'm sort of hands free, whatever. So going back to my keyboard, so I've just worked out. So these are all things I've learned in the last 12 days by leveling up and committing to this software. So I have, even just last night with this camera thing, so I know if I do this, actually that, I'm over there, and it's like your own little TV studio. I got some feedback over the weekend from my mother-in-law, of all people. I was absolutely chuffed to get that one. And if you're watching this a bit later, big shout out to you. And she told me, so I've got a few sound effects available in the studio. So let me get rid of that. So I've got these sound effects. So a big round of applause for me. Hey! And when people come on the show, usually I'm trying to play the DJ hair horn. I could have, and we've got a bit of party. I really like that one. But this software only comes with these 6 sound effects. But what I didn't realize is that the sound on the sound effects was really up high. And actually, I'm going to take it down a little bit. In fact, I'm going to take it down quite a bit. I'm just going to play that again. You hear that? Yeah, much different. And that horn. But the only reason I know this is because, as I say, my mother-in-law and I am so chuffed. No one else has said this. She was listening to the replay of one of the lives, and she said whatever I played, and I think it was the DJ air horn. There was a show last week that it's a little bit of backtrack. So I'm broadcasting to you via YouTube Live, but there's a delay. And in the first probably 10 episodes, so I've got my live broadcast in the background, and what happens is I start broadcasting, and then a minute or so later, and sometimes even a bit longer, the playback starts streaming back. And so what I said a minute ago, 60, 90 seconds ago, starts playing back. And sometimes I forget that. I'm just doing it just to make sure everything is okay, and so I can see any comments that are coming through. I'll just actually just check that right now. Got Trey in the house from Mexico. Welcome, Trey. Trey was the first guest we had on the show, and he's one of the inspirations behind this show. He didn't even know it, but he was. And so, yes, I got this. So because of this delay was going on, and I sometimes wasn't quite sure whether I was ready to. Oh, also, something else I noticed was if I started speaking straight away, that I sometimes a few seconds was missed off. So I thought, well, why don't I start with a few sound effects, and then that way, if the delay of the broadcast starting goes, I wouldn't affect anything. So I whacked these sound effects on, and it was thanks to Anne letting me know that she started the show, and I nearly made her jump out of her skin with the sound effects. So yeah, good to get that feedback and go from there. So something else. Now this is a little bit awkward because I've set it up. I'm using some software called Ecamm Live, and what's on the screen at the moment is me staring at the camera, and down what will appear to bottom left on your screen is my name and a URL which allows you to come on the show, and you are very welcome on the show. Think of this like a radio talk show. You're just going to call in and come on and share some positivity about how you're leveling up. You might just be learning, you might be just doing a jigsaw, or learning a musical instrument, or doing some new crafts or something, or catching up on some creativity elsewhere. I don't know. Maybe working in the garden and proud of your work. Come and show us something you've done. And so yeah, it doesn't need a lot of preparation. It's meant to be spontaneous, and you are very welcome. So all you need is that URL. So actually what I should do is I will pop that I'll pop that right into the comments right now. Tonight's URL, tonight's meeting. Cool. So that's now in the comments, and if you click that, you should be able to get what happened there. I want to go. There we go. Nope. Getting used to the keyboard. So yeah, in this view, that Skype address is there. You can either type it in or hopefully click on the chat, and it will take you straight there. Now, if it works well, I'll get a little beep in my ear, so you've arrived in the Skype room. So it's run by Skype. You don't have to have a Skype membership, so it allows anyone just to pop in and say hi. So I'll tell you a little bit about why this show has came about, and then you can feel free to come in. No invitation required, just although it does help if you let me know, because with the delay, what happens is you will come into the room and you'll effectively jump ahead in time. And if you leave your broadcast going, you will become what you're saying won't be what you're hearing on the screen. So just so we can get all our ducks in a row. So yeah, remember, if you are new to the show, let us know where in the world you are. We want to hear from you. We want to understand what lockdown is like, and of course, we would. What else did I want to show you? Remember, if you're new to the channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and tell me how I can do better. What would you like to see? So going back to the hashtags. Going back to the hashtags, so we've got Mashup Monday, or I'm thinking we'll cover all things online marketing, but like I said, it can be search engine optimization, content optimization, keyword research, what we do with the Google rankings, how we try and deal with that. But we can also look at email marketing. We can take behind the scenes on our landing pages or our email automations and show you how those are set up. We use Convertkit for landing pages because it's tied in with Stripe, and that payment gateway is a very important part of online marketing. Some people do it through PayPal, and but then there's other times I just want the professionalism of it going through a sort of credit card, dedicated credit card checkout, and I really like what Convertkit do. We use Convertkit as our email automation and email marketing, and we use Convertbox for our opt-ins. So we've got some opt-ins created in Convertkit, but we're migrating them slowly to surely to Convertbox. And if that all sounded a bit weird, that they convert this, convert that, that is purely coincidental. There are actually 3 different companies and 3 dedicated pieces of software. So Convertbox is what's called a bridge, an opt-in bridge. So some people use tools like Opt-in Monster. Most email marketing tools have opt-in forms that you can use. What we found was over time that there was some limitations around them. You couldn't get them to behave how you wanted to, and we came across Convertbox, and that's all it does. It does nothing else except those opt-ins. So it can slide in from left and right, it can go across the top, it can pop up on a click, can take over a page. Doesn't have an inline form at the moment, but they're working on that, and they're scheduling it to come out. Now, I have a take on that, and I hear a lot of people in the Convertbox community asking when it's coming, and every time I hear it, I'm like, have you actually done any testing? Because inline forms convert very low if you do any research. But forget research, do your own testing. We have tested this, and inline forms convert. They're like, maybe if you got a really good one, or if we got a really good one, it might convert 1%, but invariably it was between 0 and 1%. And so we started experimenting and putting in what we call 2-step opt-ins, and what that means is people, they want whatever it is you have to offer, but they have to click a button and then the form comes up. So the first step is the click of the button, and then the second step is the fill in the form. Whereas the inline form, in other words, where it says, you know, get this, fill in your name and address here, that's a 1-step opt-in, okay? So 1-step opt-ins, 2-step opt-ins. And you'd think that the 1-step opt-in is easier, and arguably it is easier for the reader, but people glaze over them, and so the views and the impressions of them are very, very high, but the conversion is very, very low. Whereas if you use a 2-step opt-in, where they've got to click a button if they're interested, what you then get is a lot less impressions on the button, because it only clicks in when someone clicks it. You know, so if people are skimming over it, there's nothing showing up because they're not interested. Whereas once they click on the button, it counts as they're interested. And then subconsciously, there is something about, once you've clicked on the button, the human psyche wants to complete what it's done. And that shows up in the conversion rates. Because whenever we tested this and we put them side by side, we take the opt-in that's in line, and we keep the same script and the same colors and the same pictures that are used. It's all quite simple. And we put it into the pop-up opt-in, and the conversions go from anything from like 15% up to 40%, depending on what it is. So you get a lot less impressions, because that's how it is, but the conversion rate is just night and day. So now that we have Convertbox, all we do is we put buttons in on WordPress, and then we can just link them to the Convertbox, and then the Convertbox can fire however we want it. It can be, you know, at the top, or the full page takeover, or whatever. So, but then we get all the benefits of split testing. We get the conversion benefits all in the dashboard, all in one dedicated tool. and then once they opt in, the Convertbox software talks to the Convertkit email automation, and depending on how they come through, so if they signed up for a calculator or if they signed up for a PDF, depending on how they came through, then it's that will dictate what email sequence they get. Okay, so Convertbox is the bridge, and we can do some really, what you can do with Convertbox in terms of the layout and the design and the professionalism, and this is the big one, how easy. I cannot stress how easy this tool is, and so I'm not going to show tonight, but if anyone's interested, I'm more than happy to drop behind the scenes on another show and take it from there. So that sends them through to Convertkit, and that's when all the email automations go. And then Convertkit, that is where we have landing pages for, top of the funnel things where you have them interested in something, but it can go all the way through to checkout. So Converttree is there for funnel building. A lot of people use, I've forgotten its name. How I can forget its name is ClickFunnels. So think of Converttree as a lot less well known, but it's an up and coming player. It's British. It's a British tool, lightning fast landing pages, and feedback tells me it's more customizable than ClickFunnels, and it doesn't come with all the ClickFunnels hype, and it doesn't come with all the ClickFunnels price. So depending on where you are in your online business entrepreneur ventures, it may be a useful tool for you. Okay, right. So do remember, if you're just coming on the show, let me know where in the world you are. Let me know in the comments, what does lockdown look like? What are you working on? And how can we help? If you have a website you want reviewed, we can work on that. So as you can see there, I've got the clock set up. I've got myself all set up. Maybe if I just do that like that. Does that work? How cool is that, eh? What do you think of that? So even this little design here, how this has all been set up, all done in Ecamm Live, and all done in Ecamm Live and learned in the last 2 weeks. So what I can do if I actually just throw up, let's just throw up Ellie's site, which is just had a rebrand or a refresh, and there you go. What's going on there? All right, there we go. So yeah, what you should see there is Ellie's site. I'm just gonna, let me just position that. How does that look? Oh, you see that? I just narrowed the screen. This is so cool. I just narrowed the screen, and what you should see. So I'm actually on the website. I'm not in Ecamm, but I've got a window that's telling me what you can see in Ecamm. So if you want to do a website review, we can set the clock running. We'll get the clock going, and yeah, and then we'll have a little fish around the website, and we'll give you some feedback on how it's laid out or anything that that might help with conversion. We're not into good-looking websites. Here, as an example, I was talking about Convertbox. So this is Convertbox in action. We scrolled down the page, and a little pop-up comes. So I now think, because this website is new or had a rebrand, this website, I think that this is popping up a bit too quick now. So on the old page, there wasn't much on it, and so this popped up quite timely, but I think we need to go back into Convertbox, tweak the display settings of this, because yeah, to me it's just popping. As you can see, there's a bit more to go down the page. So I think this is coming in too early now that we've updated, and we just haven't had time to do that. But as you can see here with ConvertBox, at this stage, before we've even got anyone on the mailing list, we can find out a bit more about them. Now, what this means is that when they do, if they follow through any of these and they do sign up, it means that we already have them tagged and segmented as soon as they arrive in the email automation software, which means we don't have to ask them when they've signed up what they're interested in, and hope that they will click on something. So does that make sense? I just pressed F4 and I shouldn't have done that. Here we go. So I'm just going to close that. I should have done that. Yeah, so if you don't know anything about the people subscribing, depending on how they've got onto your mailing list, you need them to be clicking on things. So the idea here is with did I just close it? I closed it, didn't I? Let me go to Ellie's start page, and you'll see a different one come up. So if we scroll down, and what we should see is another one pop up. There we go. Slightly different where this takes them, okay? But look at this here. As of now, April 2020, that is automated. So when it goes to May, that will say, as of now, May 2020, where are you on your health and fitness journey? And we don't have to touch that. We don't have to update that at the end of the month. That's sort of live. So you can't do that with the forms of the regular email automations. So really impressed with that. So yeah, that's the sort of thing we can do with the website reviews. So love to do one of those if you're interested. So remember, yeah, if you do want to come on the show and just say hi, jump on the link at the bottom of the page there. I've left it in the chat. If you click on it, it should take you straight into a virtual room, and we can have a chat about whatever you're working on. Excuse me. Oh. No COVID-19 there, but more a bit of dust up my nose. Okay. Okay, so if you are new on the show, why don't I just give you a little bit of let's just pop there. Yeah, a little bit of background. The show was a spontaneous launch after a few serendipitous events popped into my world. One, I was listening to a podcast with my good friend Martin of Bongay, and Martin was talking about this time as a period where, for many of us, not everyone, but for many of us, it is the time where we can't say we haven't got time. And how, we've always had the same 168 hours in the week, and it just, all that separates us is how we choose to use those hours. And Martin was sort of reminding us of that and bringing that home, that if this period passes and you haven't developed yourself, you haven't worked on yourself or your business, even in a creative way or a fun way, like I say, learning a new musical instrument or practicing your creative side, or just putting the time to good use to spend more time with your loved ones or develop anything about your life. If this time passes and you haven't used it wisely, because you've chosen to do same old, focus on the news or binge watching Netflix or gaming yourself to oblivion and can't sleep. Nothing wrong with watching news, nothing wrong with gaming, nothing wrong with watching movies on Netflix. But if that's all you do during this wonderful gift of a time to develop yourself, you only have yourself to blame if you come out the other side and notice that other people have moved on. and are handling the post-COVID-19 things differently and more effectively than perhaps you are. Okay, so that was number one. Then I mentioned earlier my friend Trey. Now, Trey wasn't a friend a few weeks ago. So we were introduced by a mutual friend. He's in Mexico, she's in Mexico, and we're in France. And Trey had been trying to... So just, if you don't know me, I'm Colin Clapp of Parenting Passports and Profits, online marketing done for you.com. And why don't I just let you know you can find out a little bit more about us here. So we are a location independent, world schooling family. We travel full time. We travel very slowly with our two young children. We have a 6-year-old little girl and a 1-year-old little girl. And we've been full time on the road over 3 years. So we're into our 4th year since February. And nearly all that time has been, our adventures have been in Southeast Asia. And we were expecting to make our way to Europe later in the year. We were in the Philippines around January and February, and we were debating where to go next. And Ellie caught sight of a house sitting opportunity here in France, and she applied for it, not thinking a family would be the preferred choice, which is usually the case, but not always. We've done several of these as a family, and we were chosen, and we weren't just chosen. We were chosen with huge enthusiasm. They wanted a family, even though they didn't realise it. So that was a very nice thing, and it all fell into place. And I think, Lady Luck and serendipity were working in our favour after many years of riding a few waves. We feel like we caught a nice wave, and she looked after us because we got out of Southeast Asia. I don't want to say escape, because Southeast Asia, we had a wonderful time there. We felt so at home now. We lived in Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia, in Bali, with a few sort of shorter trips to places like Laos, Cambodia, Singapore, Thailand. We were there a bit longer. We didn't see a lot of countries, and we didn't travel extensively around those countries. As I say, we slow travel. So it's about we consider ourselves global citizens, and it's about settling into those environments. And so when I said we got out of Southeast Asia, we were not escaping it. It's just we felt we were ready for Europe. And in particular, we wanted to go to Eastern Europe, but we were very open with no set plans. And when Ellie saw this house sit and applied for it, little did we know, how the world was going to change. And it changed a week after we got here. So we had a radical change of scenery and culture and temperature. Like this top I'm wearing, we haven't had any Northern Hemisphere clothes for coming on 4 years. So one of the first things we had to do when we arrived here in France was get some warm clothes for get some warm clothes. So we managed to do that and get settled into the house literally about 7 days before everything turned a bit pear-shaped. And and we have a big house. We have a huge garden to look after, and we've got countryside as far as the eye can see. So we're not even in a village. We're in a hamlet. There's 4 houses around us, of which I think 4 other houses. 3 of those. 4 other houses. 3 may be occupied. 2 we've seen. 1 we haven't. We're the only ones who speak English. The nearest village is about 4k away, and all that's there is a bakery, a hairdresser's, and a bakery, a hairdressers, and I've forgotten, a library. And the hairdressers is closed, the library's closed, and the bakery is the only place we go to. And you just go in, do your transaction, and leave again. And the nearest, I don't know, town or bigger village where we can get suppliers is about 17 to 20 k's away. And actually, I'm due to go there tomorrow, and it's turned into a mammoth shop. I've never shopped like it in my entire life, and I'm now like the trolley stacked over. And the last time I went there, I needed help checking out because the lady on the checkout I couldn't pack, she couldn't get things through quick enough. So I had to empty the trolley a bit, let her check some out, go around the other side, start packing, then take all the rest that I couldn't keep up with and put it in the checkout next door, while someone else, who was just a friendly person, was unpacking my trolley to let the checkout lady keep up. And yeah, hats off to the generosity of the people behind, because it looked quite comical. And yeah, what people must think just seeing this guy with his trolley this big, but hopefully the things like nappies give it away. Anyway, I digress a little bit. So where in the world are you? Let us know. Where are you being locked down? What does lockdown look like for you? And yeah, let's get rid of that. We don't need that up there. And yeah, so yeah, Martin was, let's just so my friend Martin was the first person to lay a foundation thought in my head about well, I didn't know it was about anything. I just heard him say this. It sat with me, but I'm a lifelong learner. I won't bore you with that. I've talked about that on many shows before, but I just let that sort of wallow over me. And then I was introduced to Trey. Trey was trying to breathe life into a small business mastermind in the World Schoolers movement. That's right. So I went off to tell we are World Schoolers. And Trey was trying to breathe life into this small business mastermind. And our mutual friend Lainey, she's also been on the show. She suggested we meet. So we couldn't, I was struggling with the time zone difference to get to the when they were hosting the meeting. So he and I connected one-to-one and had a chat. And I told him a bit about my past and what we were doing now. And he told me the same. And we pretty much agreed that we would just sleep on things and see where it went. But Trey was looking for some accountability in the group, and I have a bit of a background in accountability. I was a business mentor and coach, worked one-to-one with small businesses in New Zealand, and ran some group coaching for a number of years. So I had some skills in that space, and I said, you know, if there's a way I can get involved, why don't we just sleep on it, see how it goes? And again, that was as far as it went. So that's what I was doing. And then obviously COVID-19 lockdown 2020 sort of kicked in, and in a lot more seriousness around the globe. And Ellie and I started to reflect on that and what that meant about connection and meaningful relationships and those sorts of things. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to contribute. We wanted to make sure we were available for anyone who wanted to ask questions about any aspect of life that was troubling them, or the online world, if they wanted to pick our brains on anything. So we offered up our calendars via our social channels, and we had some take up on that. And as I reflected on that, it was like, well, we have to keep posting on social, and people may or may not take us up on it, but it requires a manual sort of trigger. And I thought, well, it led to point number 4, which was seeing our own online mentors and inspirations, several of which were creating a kind of Ask Me Anything platform, similar to what I'm doing here with this sort of live format. And And then the fifth thing was my own desire to step up into this live broadcasting space. You know, as I say, I had the toolkit. You know, the fact I've got this camera that I'm talking to you, and I'm trying to discipline myself to look at that camera before I go over there. I had that. I had the subscription software. I knew there was more I could do. And I was like, no, now's the time. Now's the time. Especially after we got Ellie's website live with its refresh. That had been a project that had been just sort of, I felt like it was like the final piece of the jigsaw. And now we have a bit of time extra, not commuting, not using co-working spaces. I was like, no, this is a good time for me to just jump in and stop trying to line all my ducks up in a row, just jump in. And that's what I did. I had the software, and then 2.5 weeks ago, I went, that's it, I'm going live, and I'm just gonna level up with this software. And so, you know, things like you see on the screen, so let me just go back over there. You know, all these sorts of things, like I've been bouncing between the cameras, but what I can actually do is I can actually have both cameras on. How cool is that, eh? And if a Skype person comes on, check that out. We can have a three-way conversation. So I'm going to bring that one back up, get rid of that one, and I can do that sometimes just through the software. You know, so you know it's just a click of a button to see how we're doing the website reviews, and it's a click of the button to go back to the pre-show. I realized when I was in pre-show that everything's muted. So I stopped talking. So yeah, but the pre-show with the little graphic and everything and a bit of the transparency, that I did not have 2 weeks ago, did not know how to do. And the reason I've put that in there is partly around that delay thing. And although that in theory just makes you wait just a fraction longer, as I've said, this whole show is experimental. I'm performing a lot of experiments on the fly. And because it's so late here where I am, it's like, you know, 5 to 11, you know, my daughter was still awake 20 minutes before the show, and it's like I'm praying that she's just going to nod off. And just, you know, you try and schedule it at a time you hope your children in bed. Our children push and push and push and push, and yeah, I don't need to tell you parents out there that there's always something. And so I can often come down and I'm just literally trying to plug everything in and get the whole setup. I'll see if I can show you. Why don't I bring that? I'll just swap back to the. Let me take you over to the Canon, and maybe I can show you. Let's see if I can. So here's the long room in the kitchen. I'd love to know, by the way, is this in focus? This was a challenge I had when I first started up. Because it's plugged in via the USB, I don't know if it's in focus. It doesn't look too bad on the screen, but I've been told how it looks is different from what I can see on the screen. Anyway, so what I wanted to show you is my setup here. So I have the camera propped up on this little table, which is sitting on top of the kitchen table. My computer's on a little raised stand, so it means that the computer and the camera are at similar levels. And there's my keyboard just sitting on the towel, got my mouse down there, and yeah, there's my little setup. And can you see this little bedside lamp? See if I can show you. I'll just turn that off and you can see what a difference lighting makes. So again, not trying to be totally professional from the start, but just getting involved. So watch this. I'm just checking the screen. But can you see the difference that makes? And I guess in some respects, just having a sort of dimmed bedroom light actually is better than a sort of full-on torch. But you can see without the light, it's all quite dark. So cool. And something else that's quite interesting, this total experiment, is how long the battery will last on this camera. So I guess because there's no SD card in it, maybe because it's not recording, maybe it's lasting longer. So, you know, the fact that it hasn't popped out suggests it would last. But so I've got a spare one here, but also that's a kind of beauty of having the dual camera set up. So if that did die within the hour that we will go for the show, it will just die, and I'll just go like that, and I wouldn't even have to say anything that the camera's died. I could just carry on the show, and no one would really notice. And if someone came on the show, I can show you that if we go to here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that one off, and I'm going to bring that one on, and that's the setup for a two-person show. So if anyone came on, they would just come straight through there once I'd accepted the call, and we would have a nice split screen here. And even the little things like the white thing at the bottom and the little divider in the middle and around the edge of the screen, that's all new and is just some things I've added to just sort of make the show a little bit more, like a guest interview pop out. So if someone is coming on the show and I know in advance, I can just pop their name in there and their website, and so I can probably edit that behind the scenes if I know in advance, and then I can have them come on the show and just switch that on and off. So yeah, let's go back to the main Canon, which is still kicking in. We've got the light going on. So yeah, I said, so a bit of an update if you'd, so here's my iPad. And when I first started out, I was hoping I knew I could hook the camera up, and then I heard that you could hook iPads up. And I saw someone with a far more professional and sophisticated setup than I've got. They had their iPad plugged into their MacBook Pro, which incidentally, Ecamm Live only works in a Mac environment. So there are Windows equivalents, but I wouldn't know whether it's as good as this. This software is amazing, and how simple it is. So yeah, I'm just going to give myself a big round of applause. That's how simple it is. Anyway, so I saw him, and he had his iPad, but it looked like one of the more newer A4 size ones. I don't know if they've got a different name. And he could draw. He could use the apps on the iPad and display them on the screen. So what we can do here, which I haven't shown you, is I can share my screen. So I've got this. The website review, as you saw, I've sort of set up a scene specifically that will handle a website review. But what I'm just showing you now is a sharing of the screen where I just go picture in picture, and I'll just sort of move. Let me just, what we'll do, we'll just turn that off and move me up. And I'm just going to, and there you go. So that would be a sharing screen environment. So I'll bring you back. If we do that again, yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, and what I could do at this point is I can change the shape of my picture-in-picture. I could also get rid of that and that, and if I go back, yeah, they're gone. So excuse me, and so yeah, lost my train of thought. Lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the iPad, yeah, big part, the iPad. So the iPad just came in as a source. So like I'm switching between these cameras, how he had it was that the source could be Skype, the source could be the Canon, the source can be the main camera, or anything else that's plugged in and that is recognized as a device by Ecamm, of which the new iPads are. And that's why I'm just bringing this up. So my experiments with the iPad was that this iPad is actually too old. It's still running iOS 10.3. I don't use it as much. I used to use it day in, day out. We don't use it as much anymore. I thought it would come in handy. Our daughter will probably sort of start owning it more and more as she gets a bit older. She doesn't use devices at the moment, and so the apps required to tune into this show were not, I could not download them to this iPad, and so I couldn't use it as a source. I also thought apparently you can use it as an output, so you could have two screens. So certainly if you're a newer user of the iPad technology and you're using something like Ecamm Live, you can do a heck of a lot with it. So yeah, so we're coming up to the end of the show. As I say, if you just are popping on, one last chance to let us know where in the world you are. Tell me in the comments, what does lockdown look like for you? I am just going to go back to that screen there. Just make sure we've got no comments we need to deal with. It's always nice to have guests on. I'd say we've had guests from Mexico, we've had guests from New Zealand, we've had comments from other parts of the world, we've had guests from the United States. Yeah, so if you want to check out any of the previous shows, head on over to, actually that's something, yeah, so I just brought this in brand new today. Have I got, here we go. There you go. So yeah, if you want to check out the show, bookmark that address up the top there, and you'll go to our live page. And as long as there's something scheduled, you'll be able to set a reminder and see the show. So, and if we haven't got anything scheduled, you should see the last show we did. So, but all our upcoming shows for this week are all scheduled. So if you go to that site after this, actually I'm just going to do a quick experiment. I want to go there now, and see what comes up. So let's just put this onto screen share mode, and you can see pop that away, and we'll go to a new tab. So yeah, I'm just going to pop that address into the browser. Level Up Live, and I think it already knows, and it should go to this live broadcast, and I should see myself talking about 2 minutes ago. Check that out. There you go. It's loading the show. Sleep on it, see how it goes. And again, that was as far as it went. So that's what I was doing. So you can see this, and then I'll just. Yes, that was a quick, brief experiment. But what you can see is the delay is quite huge. The delay, the longer the show goes on, the buffering is holding it back. So oh, cool. That's cool. I didn't even know that there's some new features in here. This is really cool. Really cool. Yeah, so head on over to bookmark that. You'll always be able to get to the latest live shows, either see previous ones or see what's coming up. So on that note, I think we are just coming up for the hour, And so I am going to turn that off, and yeah, wherever in the world you are, I hope you have an awesome day, night, or morning. And remember to look after yourself, look after your family, be kind to yourself, and we will see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.